we are going to, so like all of those pieces that we've ever talked about in the other master classes where we're like, this is where you use your mind, this is where you use your mind, you can use your mind to enhance this. This is the place, this is the class where we're going to go and teach you exactly how to do that. We're going to go into so many different aspects of the mind, simplify it down just like we do in everything else. The mind is such a massive topic, and so my work really has been lately to distill it down to the most simple, practical, even though we know it's touching the profound. So with how profound it is, with how magnificent it is, with how powerful it is, how do we use it in real life, right? Because it can't just be, a lot of you had questions saying you've done the Joe Dispenza retreats, you have tried all of these different things, they haven't worked, and so you're not sure if this is going to be just another one of those things. So I've never been to a retreat, but I've had a lot of patients that have spent a lot of money doing those things. And again, it's never that the information is not correct or the information is wrong. It's sometimes that the application of a life has to utilize these things in a different way. So the way I think about it is your life was what helped create these certain patterns in you, these certain beliefs in you, these certain habits or predispositions in you, these certain parts of your personality. So to go and expect a weekend, a session, a month even of like brainwashing or trying to rewire or rework is putting a lot of pressure on this body when the living is what undoes it. So imagine it kind of like you would if you had never worked out and you wanted to build a lot of muscle. So there's one thing that could be like going and having a boot camp and then just releasing you back into the wild of your life and being like, okay, the results you got are the results you got. It's not because those techniques don't work, it's just you're not really putting it into perspective on how a life works, right? Because you're kind of falling into that category of, I want this, it's so uncomfortable for me, I want it all to change, and I want it all to change quick. And there's some parts of the brain that can change really quickly. There's some parts of the mind that you can change quickly. How you start influencing physiology and biochemistry, however, in a very practical way, are not going to be that quick. Just like building a muscle isn't going to be that quick. So you have to have that understanding even when you're dealing with the mind. So for those of you that ask, like, if you could go to this class and you'll never have to worry about the mind again, is this the class for you? No. This class is not for you, because this class is going to teach you how to reincorporate your mind back into your entire body, entire person, and how to utilize it in every moment that comes up and start being able to use and identify and understand your patterns in real time instead of picking them apart to start doing those little pivots, right? Because that's how we start changing you. So there's going to be some degree of we've got to understand things, and then there's going to be a totally different component that is, okay, so now what? What do we do with that? Now that you know you're in a pattern, what do we do? How do we change it? How do we start changing physiology with what we actually know? How do we make all of this make sense in a way that actually benefits you today, tomorrow, your future, your entire body, right? Because it's not just going to be we talk to you, right? And you're forever done. It's going to be, we understand everything, because I guarantee you know, most people know now more than doctors ever did even 50 years ago with regards to the mind, with neurotransmitters, all of these different things. Like the amount of people that refer to things like dopamine spikes and cortisol, all of these different things. And there is, in the most beautiful way, no true medical education is showing the level of understanding to some degree, or intellectual accumulation. But understanding is what we want for you. We want for you to take those things that you know and use them to benefit you. Because if you're spending your whole life thinking about healing, thinking about the subconscious, thinking about changing your thinking and fighting your thinking and stopping your thinking, how much of life are you actually receiving? And then if your tissues are sitting there just being like receiving the goodness, the juiciness of that life, and we go and look at the contents of your life and you were trying to heal, you were fighting thoughts, you were fighting patterns, you were fighting your mind, and then we're like, I don't understand why my body's not healing. Well, your body's experiencing the environment that is you as well as the environment that it's in. And so when it comes to the mind, this is where we're really going to go in there and excavate and rework it and really clean up that mansion, if you will. We're not going to build a mansion. You've been given the mansion. We're going to go and clean it up through understanding and through simple, practical steps on, okay, this is what it's going to look like in a life. And so the format of this class is going to be a little bit different than the past. We're still going to go in with that pretty dense on the information. But again, when it comes to information, you know so much. You know so much. We've got to translate that into living. That's what this class is going to be for. So it's not going to be to go learn more about how to manipulate and strategize yourself into creating more of the neurotransmitters specifically and breaking them down into all of the different things. We're not doing that. We're saying, okay, simply, how do we make our mind medicine? How do we use our mind to go in those places, like in the rules of nutrition, those components that involve the mind? How do we actually use it to enhance? How could we make a slice of pizza more medicinal than the most perfect salad? That is where we get to start going into this world of what we call the poetry here, right? So we're going to do the practicality because that's removing those variables. Again, if you're putting everything on your mind so that you don't have to go and follow the rules with everything else, that's not a very true and wholesome approach to healing. You want to be very balanced. You want to understand that there's the practical and the poetic. So let's do both. That's where, when I worked with people, that's where we got the results the quickest. Not because we were doing, some voodoo magic over here. It was because there was a process, and it involved the practical and the poetic simultaneously, with the same level of intensity, with the same level of care, with the same level of commitment. And so that's what this class is going to do, is we put those other things into place. There was a reason and a method behind how I did every class and why I did them in the order that I did them. There's a reason that this class, the one we've all wanted to do the most, that I say for my birthday month, because it is my favorite topic. It does pull in so much more of the poetry of life, but there's so much practicality that comes into the mind as well. And so my biggest goal is for you to welcome your mind back into your system. And even like in the way we talk about it, so many of your comments were like, wanting to just use it as a tool. We're going to talk about that. We're going to show you how to use it as a tool, but I don't want it to be a tool. It's more beautiful than that. It's not separate from you. It's part of you. It's a gift that's been given to you. And we don't need to, prepare yourself and protect yourself against it. You need to understand what you're walking with. You need to understand what you've been given. So with that level of understanding, then we're going to incorporate those steps so that when you come into a situation that's not exactly ideal for you, when you come across a moment of conflict, when you come across a season of healing that's requiring steadfastness of mind, that you now have the tools and the capacity to enhance the medicine of whatever you come across, instead of just demanding that everything be on the practicality front perfect, right? Everything perfect, everything toxin-free, sugar-free, all the things free, just perfect. We're no longer going to demand that. Not saying that those things don't matter, but putting them in the place to the degree that they matter, right? Because remember when we talk in all of those classes, like, how much does this matter? It depends, right? Does it matter? Yes. Do you have to breathe every single day? Yes. Then nourishment, hydration, energy, light, sleep, all of those things matter. Those are components of being a human, right? Where did we have all of those little fun, tangents of, okay, so here's an option, here's a caveat, here's a beautiful part of what the research is pointing to. It always went to the mind, right? And that's why I saved this for now, because now that you've been incorporating all those other rules, the practicality, what you actually have access to, that was you communicating with your body. If you weren't communicating with your body and following the rules of the planet you were on, why would we jump to trying to communicate with your mind, right? That would be out of place. So now that you're putting all of those things into place, you've got the practicality. And it's not that we're going to be, consuming all of these things that poison us every single day, not following the rules of digestion, expecting that we digest, not sleeping, not doing all of those things with our stress and energy, and just being like, okay, purify my mind. We're not doing that. We're saying, I'm doing all of these things. And I have this feeling that there's a little bit more. I have this feeling that there's the component of me influencing my biochemistry that could increase this more. Then that's where this is going to fit in. This is where, how are your patterns affecting your biochemistry? How is your thinking affecting your physiology? How do we change it if you've identified something? Because so many of you were saying, I've identified these patterns. I get stuck in this negative thought spiral. I do this thing and I know I do this thing and I want to change this thing, right? And one of you beautiful souls, I loved your comment so much on one of my last posts. You were just saying, when I was talking about, would a person that thought differently, behave differently, live differently, do something more with the body that you've been given? And your comment was so pure and so honest, just saying, like, this seems so simple, but why does it seem so hard for me? And that's exactly what we're going to go after, because it's simple to understand intellectually. The practicality of living it out is massively difficult, or everyone would just think of the best version of themselves and then you would be done. But the beautiful thing about the life we've been given is the going through it gives you the gold, right? Again, put it on working out. We understand that. We understand that there has to be some level of a daily showing up, a daily dedication, a daily commitment to get the results that you want in your muscle tissue. But then we put it on the mind and be like, the mind should change in this 1 weekend class. The mind should change after meditating for 1 week solid with the greatest expert on the planet with all of these things strapped on me. No, because you're in a different environment. That environment is you're an alien there. So already your mind is different. We put you in a different environment back into your real life. That's the mind we want to work with. So we don't want to take you out of your life to change your mind. We want to change your mind in your life. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And it's beautiful. And it's going to be a lot of work. So again, if you were one of the ones saying, like, is this going to be the last class I ever have to go to? And my mind is forever going to be changed. I would like to say yes. But the truth of it is, I hope this is the last class you ever have to go to so that you can use everything that you already know and use your life to start being the transformation instead of needing to always go and gather information, right? That's why I called my visits last first visits, because I knew with certainty that if we did it, if we both joined each other with the same level of intensity, it would be the last time you had to be a first patient ever. That was my commitment to you. If your commitment to me was, I want this to be my last one too. And so my dedication is always, I'm going to show up like this is the last class I ever get to teach, because that could be the truth. I never know. This could be the last video I ever get to do. So that has to be the level of intensity that you show up with. I would hope that you want it to be the last class. Why? Because what if you could be dancing with somebody right now instead of learning about your mind? What if you could be creating a flavor, a dish nobody has ever experienced and will never get to experience again, instead of learning about changing your mind? What if while you were going through a conflict with the people you love the most, you could be changing your mind there instead of being away from the life that you're wanting to get back to enjoy, and needing to leave it to go change your mind, right? You created the mind that you have through the life that you've lived. We're going to change the mind that you have through the life that you're going to live. And to me, that's the most practical way to go about it. It's the most honest way to go about it. And to tell you anything else, to me, wouldn't be true. I would love to change your mind. If I could change your mind here, I would have done it already. That would be my greatest hope. But there is a practicality to the living of this life. But the cool thing is, once you get your mind on board, what do we all know? When the mind's on board, what? Everything is enhanced. That's how powerful you are. That's how powerful your mind is. So if you want to join me, May 1st, we're going to do Mind is Medicine class. We're going to do our normal thing. We're going to go all in. If you're on the fence about me, my teaching style, all those different things, go figure that out before you join this class, because the class is just we go. We don't talk about me. We talk about you. And if you have specific scenarios, specific questions, you can put them under this when I post it, or you can email it to us after you purchase your ticket. For the live event, you're purchasing a live event, right? And that's why we discount it, because there's so many things that go into that, and you're having to be there at a specific time. It's less convenient for you, and there's a level of unpredictability to joining a live event. But I'm going to be there in real time, so when you're there, it kind of changes the energy of it. But if you would rather wait and watch the replay and have that already, fit into your schedule a little bit differently, then you can wait. We'll have the replay up as soon as we can. I'll let you know as soon as that's done. My guess is that the class is going to be 2 to 3 hours. I typically go over a little bit, but 3 hours is going to be my mark, because I know I've studied the adult attention span. I think we are far over it even in this live right now. But for those of you that are hungry, for those of you that are seeking, I do want to give you as much as we can give you. We've had the discussion before about these classes. I could stretch them out and make them last for 6 months. But if my intention is for you to live the best version of your life as soon as possible, to space it out, it just doesn't fit. And so I would rather give you everything that you need, let you take notes on it, let you implement it as you see fit. And if you're one of those that wants the class and the replay, I would wait for it to be reposted so that you can rent it, and then you'll get the full 7 days of that rental versus just a live event for this. But we've ran into a lot of just difficulties with the replay following the live event, so we just had to stop that completely, just so that everyone is very clear on terms, on what they're getting, what they're not getting, because we have to treat everyone the same across the board. That's part of how we stay true on our side, for those of you that stay true on your side. And so we will get that up for the rental, and you'll have the full 7 days if you want to watch it over and over. And I'm looking into prolonging those too, for those of you that like to repeat it, even though we know you want to live it as soon as possible and learn more through the implementation. Like when you start putting your fingerprint on it in your life is where you get more than you could ever get just by listening. So that's always the intention, but we'll have it up for you. And what else? So again, if you have specific questions or something you want to absolutely make sure is in that class, I'm not going to treat anything. We're not going to go into specific diagnosing, anything like that. We're not going to go into pharmaceuticals or even supplements or herbal compounds. We're going to go, for those of you, this is going to be a class. If we didn't have supplements, if we didn't have devices, if we didn't have biofeedback, if we didn't have compounds and any type of prescription, non-prescription substance, and we just had you in your life and nothing else, how could we change it? How could we enhance it? How could we make it the most magnificent mind and enhance this one life that you have in the shortest amount of time, right? To give you the greatest return on your investment. How could we give you the greatest impact for you to incorporate however you see fit? So if you have any questions right here while I'm here, I will answer those. Those specific questions I am going to put up to make sure you know that I saw them, and they will be part of that class. You had some beautiful questions. Lots of them were, how do you get out of a pattern? What do you do when you're in a negative thought spiral? What do you do when you've been given a diagnosis? That one's going to be a beautiful one. And you're in that that negative, just that heaviness that falls over you, and you're trying to fight against a belief, right? We're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about the difference between knowing and a belief, and which one actually benefits your physiology the most, how to change it, how to get out of the cycle of fighting beliefs. Hi. I'm just scrolling here. You can't see me, but I'm seeing all your names. I love it. Some of y'all are having some yummy snacks. I hope you're happy so that you're digesting. I hope this makes you happy. All right, so any questions that y'all have about this class coming up? And again, I'll put this up. You can put underneath it any of those scenarios like we did in that nutrition class where we took a scenario and we thought through it together, I will be doing that on this too. If you don't want to get too specific, you can email those and we'll keep them anonymous. Yeah, like add that one. That one's going to be a good one. Interesting language there. So the mindset of addictiveness will go into, why we have a tendency to have addictions, and to know that they're not wrong. Interesting. Yeah. So add any of those scenarios. I will make sure we organize them into the class. And yeah, so May 1st, Your Mind is Your Medicine. If it is something you want to do, join us. And if not, there's already some good stuff added in here. If you've spent the last few minutes here with me, I hope you gained something even in this time. The other thing that I will say, because I've gotten this question a lot this week with regards to like scholarships or different things from my classes. What if, a lot of you know this, but some of you might not. If you go back and listen to everything that I've ever put up here, there are hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of hours of free information. And what you might not know, but maybe you will now, is that if I took the time to put it up, it's because it is the medicine. It's not something that's going to lead you to going and buying the medicine. So if you took a different perspective into even all the videos that are up on this platform here for free, or on my YouTube, or even the podcast, it's all free information. Thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of it for free. If you go and listen to it with a level of listening that the medicine is being given, not anything being withheld, and you're trying to understand from a lens of understanding that I'm talking to so many different people. And so that's why the language is used like it is, because there's going to be so much variation to the people. But put yourself in it to listen in a different way than maybe this platform does. This platform is very much, let me tell you what is wrong about you, tell you how to fix it in 3 easy steps. Let me grab your attention, let me do a little thing for you to get your attention so you can stay here, and I'll give you a little bit of this, and then it's not that it's wrong information, but what are you going to do with it? So maybe go and listen in a different way. This is not probably the ideal platform for me. And go listen in a way where you're trying to understand things in a different way, where you're understanding that the medicine is being given, that there's not anything being withheld, that there's a reason that I don't tell you what to eat. There's a reason why I don't tell you exactly what you need to do. Remember that analogy that I gave, that if I were to give you directions home, everybody that's shown up here, I'm supposed to give you all directions home. How would I have to use my language to be true and to not misinform and to not misguide you? I couldn't say turn left, turn right at the next road. When you hit the stop sign, go west. That would work for maybe one person if I knew who you were. So that's how I need you to listen to everything that I've given. And if you listen in that way of, she's trying to give directions to me on how I get myself home, knowing that I am the only one that knows where I live, that I am the only one that knows these roads, that I'm the only one that knows if I'm driving on a bike, in a car, in a van, using public transportation, or what combination of all of them. Listen with that level of understanding to everything that I've been given on this platform for free, and I promise you it's there. I promise you. There are even those lives that I've done that are hours long, or if you've ever gone over to my subscription, that's like $10 a month. I give hours and hours and hours of more of like my personal, so you can kind of see what it looks like in practice, because that is helpful, but I like being more private with my life. So even if you go do those things, for $10, I don't hide any of it. I let you go listen all the way back from when I started it. So if it doesn't fit, go find what does fit. If you're like, this medicine speaks to my soul, I promise you I've given it to you from free to what actually is an energetic exchange and giving back to me and my business and my work. right? So there's a spectrum of it, and majority of what's out there is for free, right? And so go and use it. Go back and listen to it again, maybe with a different level of understanding. Listen from a perspective of, it's not trying to tell me exactly what to do. It's trying to help me understand how to get myself there without needing the stuff, without needing 3 steps, without, right? Because even think about how we did the rules and go put that on. Like if you've taken one of my classes, how we had to do the rules, where it's like there's some strategy to it, but there's so much that's like, you got to get in there and do it, right? You're going to have to be in the actual ocean of your life, and we're not going to tell you to go take a wave if there's not a wave in front of you, right? And so it's one of those things where that's the level that I want you to go listen, because I promise you it's given. And if you haven't heard it, go back and listen one more time. Even my really, really old stuff. It's given, because that is the medicine. That was what's put on my heart. And for me and myself, I know that there is going to be a moment where it's my last moment. There's going to be a video that's my last video. There's going to be a day that's my last day. There's going to be a class that's my very last class for the rest of my life. And whatever I've put out there is what I've given. And what I've given is a reflection of my life's work. And so that's the quality that I've put out, right? It doesn't fit algorithms. Nothing does, right? Not even our medicine. But it fits the soul. It fits the spirit. It fits the heart. It fits the person. So go back and listen, even if, these classes seem out of reach for you at this time, or if you're having to invest in other things and other places, then go find where these other places can be nourishment and freedom pieces for you. And I promise you it's there. So listen as if the medicine is given. Like it's given to you. What I'm saying is what I mean. And see if the medicine can sink in a different way. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to hop over to the other side with you guys over there. Got some updates. Yeah, How To has taken over the internet. And that's because we'll go into that too, because that's a part of, now that we understand more of human psychology, you have to understand that people are going to use that to benefit from it. And hopefully everyone has, again, the cool thing about life that you always have to know, there's a little guy, is when I say your life is your medicine, even when it comes to topics like this, of like people manipulating psychology and manipulating those things that draw you in and seduce you in and make you feel like you need that thing, right? Always just know that that's a pattern too. We'll talk about that in the class as well. And just kind of step back on those moments always. And the thing that puts my heart at peace, and we talked about this over on my subscription page, was I think this is a time that's forcing us to get to know our intuition again. Because everything is cells, everything is manipulation, everything has a business or an industry scent to it, if you know what I mean. And so I do think that there's a way to navigate this time, and I think it's actually all for us. I think it's making us get to know our intuition again, so it's not all a bad thing. Billy agrees. He's terrorizing my back room right now. I was gonna say something else. Oh, and the thing that you can always just like let your heart be at peace with is your life is your medicine, meaning those people that you feel like have manipulated you into purchasing something or manipulated you into something, free them from you, because they will get the medicine of their intentions. They will get the medicine of their motives. They will get the medicine of the impact that they had on a life, whether that be positive or negative. You determine what you receive, and that's the medicine that you get from your life. Got some activity today. And so give some, there he is, give some forgiveness, and know that it feeds back, not always just forward, okay? But yeah, sit with this, make sure it fits. And if it doesn't fit, that's the cool thing. You can always come back to it. All right. Thank you all for being here. If you're on my subscription page over on the other side over here, and then I will be putting that up on YouTube as well if you're over on YouTube. Yes, we'll put this live stream up. All right. It was so good to see you all. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day all over the world. So cool that we all get to be in this space together. It's one of the gifts of a platform like this. There are some beautiful things, right? How we even got to find each other. All right. So good to see you all. May 1st, Mind class. We will put up a replay that can be purchased as a rental after the class. And if you have any other questions, put them under here. We'll get those answered. Oh, right as I end, somebody just showed up. All right, see you on the other side.